Hi, I'm Sara, and I'm originally from Stockholm, Sweden, but have been living in Copenhagen, Denmark for the past 4 years. I've mainly been working with games tech, and I also studied engineering, and then last year I decided that I would full-time work on my own game, and it's called Trollskogen. Trollskogen is an interactive fairy tale based on Nordic folklore. I'm currently building it for mobile because I use the gyro and acceleration meter. Trollskogen is based on a story that my mother told me as a child called The Changeling, where a child and a troll baby get switched out at birth, and then they grow up in their separate kingdoms. So you play as the main character called Rose, and she's a human child that grew up in the troll kingdom, and now she's exploring her way out of the forest of the trolls, which the title of the game is based on, Trollskogen. It's basically just a calm exploration through the Nordic woods where you interact with the environment and unblock your path forward. Even though Trollskogen is an interactive, more visual novel, it uses some puzzle elements to encourage the player to be more creative with the device, in this case the mobile device. The puzzle elements are things like tilting and rotating, shaking, or even blowing on the screen, depending on what kind of environment you're in. Even though the game takes place mostly in the forest, you are traveling to somewhere. You're traveling to the human kingdom. But while you're in the forest, you also meet a lot of animals and you befriend them. The character in the original story, she didn't have many friends because the trolls just didn't like her, so she befriended everything from birds to squirrels and frogs. So they have a very symbolic meaning in the story. There is also a handbook in the game, and in each level you discover new plants or new animals or new creatures, whereas those unlock in the book, and then you can read a short description about them. I feel that most people associate Nordic folklore or folk tales with Vikings, and they don't know about some of the more important things that we grew up with, such as midsummer. That's a thing that is very important for us, but barely anyone outside of Scandinavia knows about it or what it is. And I'm trying to tell a few stories like that through the game. It all started by me drawing the first level on paper, then later on making a prototype during Global Game Jam. Then I took 2 levels and implemented them on mobile in order to show my friends during GDC. I get a lot of inspiration from artists. My favorite artist in particular is John Bauer, and he drew all of these environments that we're in at the moment. He was the illustrator for most of the fairy tales for me growing up, so when my mother was reading me fairy tales as a child, or when I was reading them when I grew older, it was his art in them. Another artist that has really inspired me is Elsa Beskow. She's also illustrated both fairy tales but also lullabies. And then I've recently started discovering other illustrators who are Danish and Swedish that are amazing. There's also an artist that is not from the Nordics, but from the UK, and his name is Brian Froud, and he also has done a lot of kind of folklore art, and he was also the art director for The Labyrinth, which is one of my favorite movies. We've been at Stugan now for a little bit over a week. I actually tweeted about this today, but I haven't felt this good both physically and mentally in a really long time. Had a really rough year last year, which is the reason I quit my job. Then there's this balance here of being healthy and at the same time working on something that you love. I love working on this project, and I love the fact that I have an environment surrounded by other creatives that exchange their knowledge, that help me out and who I can help out. And we eat healthy, we eat super good here, we go out daily on hikes, we go swimming. It's very balanced and healthy. And then, of course, the social interactions here are amazing because the people are just like me. They're creatives, and here it's just everyone wants the best for everyone, and that's really encouraging. And I've never felt this empowered in a workplace before. I originally designed this game to be for children, and particularly young children that read fairy tales with their parent before bed. So this could be seen more as a, good night story. It's very short, and it can of course be replayed over and over because you can interact with the environments in whichever way you want, and that is a playful way that's very playful for children. I think basically what I'm trying to do is recreate these shared moments that I had with my mother as a child, between her reading me these fairy tales, but now through a game, and for parents today to share with their kids. So once I'm done here at Stugan, I hope to have this vertical slice that I can then present to investors, publishers, and then start submitting it to the Apple Store. I think first and foremost I want to seek some funding for the game. I am collaborating with a classically trained musician. She's a flutist, a professional flutist, and I also used to play the flute, so I just find this very nostalgic and nice. But it would be nice for me and her to be able to start a company, or for me to start a company and start working with other people, and to be able to finish this game at the end of the year, and then start working on a next project, which is more fairy tales, more interactive fairy tales. Trollskogen will first and foremost be released on iOS. It looks really, really good on the iPad. And then I'm considering looking into console as well, possibly Switch, because I think that there will be families there that might enjoy it. And I'm planning on releasing it at the end of this year. If you want to follow the progress of the game, I do have a website, alfstoft.com, and there I have a development blog, as well as links to all of my social channels such as Instagram, Vimeo, Facebook and Twitter, where I share the progress of the game throughout its development. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that this is inspiring you to want to learn a little bit more about folklore and the Nordic culture and our stories.